with great pride I introduce to you a close personal friend and mentor, Technical Sergeant Kitsana, Dounglomchan.
Thank you, Sergeant Rudder, for that warm introduction. My wife and I recently shipped our vehicle off a few weeks ago, so every now and then we'll walk back from work to the Hoja. We'll take TSgt Avenue. On each one of these walks, we're always greeted by friendly waves, short honks from passing cars, and after that ALS fundraiser, one of my wife's friends even asked me where I got those pants from. It was on these walks I began to realize that this type of thing doesn't happen at most bases you're stationed at. It was on these walks that I began to realize that whether you find yourself in the dormitory or base housing, that Incirlik's not just a base you PCS to, but it's a family you become a part of. And this all starts with our amazing wing leadership and Colonel Craig, Mrs. Penny Craig, Colonel Bigger, Mrs. Carla Bigger, Chief Master Sergeant Judge. From here it continues to all the group commanders, squadron commanders, chiefs, first sergeants, supervisors, airmen, spouses, our Turkish counterparts, and everyone that makes us feel like that family. Class 13-3, tonight your family has gathered to recognize your transformation into becoming supervisors, NCOs, and the leaders of our Air Force. As I was cleaning out my office a few weeks ago, I came across my ALS graduation program. I was surprised to find that I graduated ALS 5 years to the day you all are graduating tonight. It was shortly after my graduation, I started to realize the responsibility we have to the airmen we lead. Because one day those airmen are going to have ALS graduations, become NCOs, senior NCOs, and possibly the next Chief Master Sergeants of the Air Force. The altitude of our enlisted force depends on your ability to lead your airmen to new heights, heights we've yet to reach. I know each of you is eagerly anticipating this challenge, but you aren't always going to lead capital A airmen, or as I like to call them, the Jedis of our Air Force. Every now and then, you're going to have to lead a capital D dirtbag. Be wary, for these airmen have committed themselves to the dark side. We all know the characteristics of these airmen, such as their uniforms are so stark white, it would appear they were only issued one set in basic training. Their alarm clocks never seem to work, and they always show up 15 to 20 minutes late. And whenever you're really busy at work, they have an appointment to go to. When I was at Nellis, I had the opportunity to work with one of these airmen. As luck would have it, he's in the audience tonight. In his younger years, he never focused too much on the Air Force because he was always losing himself in a world of Warcraft. He must have weighed close to 220 pounds, and because of his expanding waistline and one uniform, when he would bend down to pick something up, he would occasionally tear a hole in the inseam of his pants. He was like Chris Farley in the movie Tommy Boy. Many NCOs have attempted to battle an airman like this, to take them from the dark side of the Force and set them on the Jedi path. Many NCOs have failed. Class 13-3, what's going to make you different? What will make you different is if you change how you view yourself in the Air Force. Because up until this point in your journey, you've been Luke Skywalker. You're young, talented, and focused on your individual tasks. It's been your job to write contracts, defend our bases, and fix communications equipment. But after you graduate tonight, one of your new jobs will be to make your airmen better than you. And to do this, you have to transform yourself from Luke Skywalker into Yoda, who was wise, full of wisdom, and focused on the development of others. Just as it was Yoda's job to grow a young Luke Skywalker, it will now be your job to grow your airmen, to make them better than you. When that dirtbag airman I spoke up earlier finally made staff sergeant, nobody expected anything to change upon his return from ALS. But something miraculous happened. He met an NCO that changed his career. He met his Yoda. I know so much about this airman's story because that dirtbag airman isn't sitting in the audience, but he's standing right in front of me. The airman of the story was me. The NCO who changed my career didn't only do it once as my ALS instructor, but he actually did it twice when he hired me to be an ALS instructor 2 years ago on Incirlik. My Yoda is Master Sergeant Eric Nelson. He is what retired Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force Roy would call an analog leader. Every morning, he would take the time to come past our class, ask how we were doing, and see what we had planned for the day. Even after PCSing a year ago, he still takes the time to call every couple of weeks on the phone to check up on my wife and I and make sure that we're doing okay. And because of this analog leadership, he's able to employ a technique I'd like to call the NCO Jedi mind trick to make his airmen better than him. He gets you to do things that you think are your idea, even though they were his idea all along. The best way I can describe this to you is a tree doesn't know how it got there, but something had to plant that seed in the ground in order for that tree to grow. So he finds out what you're good at, what makes you tick in life, and then he plants all these seeds in your mind. By the time those seeds have grown into mighty oak trees, they have no recollection of all the work that was done to get them to that point. That's why your successes with him always feel like your own. Graduates, you now have the same power as Sergeant Nelson. You can take an airman who's committed themselves to the dark side of the Force and set them on the Jedi path. And once on that Jedi path, you can inspire them to achieve things that they never thought they could achieve. From an airman who embraced a stark white uniform to proudly wearing a fresh set of ADUs. From an airman who was constantly showing up 15 minutes late to always arriving 20 minutes early. And from an airman who constantly accepted mediocre to always achieving greatness. The message I want to share with you tonight with all my heart is it might have taken you a while to find your path in the Air Force. It's probably going to take your airmen a while to find their way. But the only way they can navigate this dangerous road is if they have an NCO who cares about their career. An NCO who's an analog leader. An NCO who takes the time to plant those seeds of greatness. If you lead your airmen in this way, they won't just follow you because of a rank you're wearing on your sleeve, but they'll follow you because they believe in you. They'll follow you because you make them believe in themselves. You will have started your transformation from Luke Skywalker into Yoda. In my journey in Incirlik, I've been fortunate to meet many Yodas and a few Darth Vaders. There's an old Greek proverb that says, societies grow great when people plant trees whose shade they will never rest in. Class 13-3, it's now your responsibility to plant those trees in our Air Force, for we might never rest in the shade, but our future, our airmen, they will.